Now we have another stakeholder, the head of ASDER, Mr. Professor Dr. Nevzat Tarhan. I hereby invite him to talk. Selamun Aleyküm.
Hayırlı günler diliyorum Sayın Başkanım, değerli katılımcılar.
I wish you a very warm welcome to every participant from almost 20 Islamic countries.
Selam ediyorum, hoş geldiniz diyorum.
Welcome to all of you.
Bu kongrelerin İslam Birliği yani medeniyet coğrafyamızda bir birlik.
And I hope that those congresses are going to be held in order to establish a very proper Islamic Union. And I know that there are some very true obstacles, some barriers in here, and I want to say that there are some interior and exterior barriers. And I know that we are all talking about those kinds of barriers and obstacles, but without even being aware of those, I want to emphasize about the external powers who are preventing us to do our objectives. In psychology, we are referring to those as mind barriers. And we are sometimes calling them as psychological barriers, and they are affecting and disrupting the healthy thinking of the individuals. They are putting the individuals far away from their targets, or they can alterate the objectives of the individual. This is so what are the obstacles in the Islamic unions? In Turkish, we are saying that you need to put the needle first step in yourself in order to feel and in order to be able to empathize. So we need to do a self-evaluation and assessment. It's called as self-awareness. So what are those mind barriers? Back in 2000, there was a very famous psychologist, and they were talking about behavioral economy and about those baits, those traps, about the success of the press companies, the media companies, and what are their role. There have been studies made about the management of crises or about the psychological impacts of those mind traps. They published a book. So how can an intelligent person, an individual with such a great mind, how they can do so great mistakes? So there are some things I want to say, because I think that there is a very chaotic scene of the Islamic world, and in order to correct this, we need this mind correction in order to achieve the social improvement and in order to achieve the political improvement. So we need to leave behind our claims, and they are not acceptable. So if they were thinking politically, I'm going to be the Amir of the Mecca. I will hold the power in my hand, and after I will gain the power, I will make anyone a Muslim. So if in this scenario, the Islamic religion wouldn't be able to continue, because we had martyrs like Prophet Hassan. This is why they resisted. This is why there is purity in the Islamic religion, and we need to think how we can achieve that, and we need to achieve a union. This is what we need for the union of the Islamic. We need the union of the targets from Ottomans, from Seljuks, from Abbasids. They have been founded, and they started to collapse whenever they recessed from their targets. But we are
İttihat olmazsa
so
metodoloji
if there is not a union, there is not a union in the methodology. We need this union, this association for synchronity. So first of all, we need a union of the ideas. We need to gain the utmost power. Our main target and objective is to get the union. So there are some mind barriers and traps. In Western, there is a cost, and this trap, if you know, there was an example, the Concorde airplane, and there was a big investment, but the planes were very noisy and they disrupted the equilibrium at the airports. And the companies didn't step back, and they did this trap. And when one of the air flights, they dropped, because they were able to fly like 12 or 13 hours. And after that, there was a very big accident, and they step away from this project. And if there are so many greed and too much ambition, this is where you can find yourself. And secondly, there is a trap of collecting the proofs in a single way. It's like, I know, this is for the persons who have a very high ego, and they are collecting the right proofs, the right information, and they are moving forward. They are continuing to do mistakes, and they are doing a big mistake. And behind of this is I know everything mentality. Sometimes there is the trap of having too much self-reliance. It's like, okay, there won't be any thieves in my house, and therefore the people are leaving their doors and stuff open. This is the trap of an excessive self-reliance. And you can see that this is a trap which is affecting the Islamic world. And there is a paternalism, a trap, my father knows trap, those kinds of individual. And there is also the innocent imam understanding. As you know, in 2016 there was a military coup, and after that there was Fethullah Gülen congregation community, and they were called as the innocent imam, and everybody was believing in them. And due to this belief, many of members of community, they couldn't think by themselves. So this is one of the paternalism trap, and it's called a Middle East disease. It is still continuing, and it is the reason behind the foundation of many of terrorism organizations. So therefore, there is this thinking like I need to ask the Hoja, I need to ask this Imam, etc. This means to let your mind in the hands of others. Another trap is the power bias prejudice trap, and it's a trap of capitalism. It means that you need to have an economical power, military power, and if you don't have that, you won't have justice. Here, the power is divided into, the first of it is the military power, and there is the self-take power, the information, the knowledge, the dictate power, and the nations who own this power, because we are living in the information and tech power. And instead of capture this power, if we are going to continue with the physical power, I think that the Muslims need to put together the power of justice and to merge it with the soft power. This is what we need to do in order to achieve our objectives. This kind of concept is not okay, because if you don't have justice, you won't have a peace. And because the justice is not based on the power, this is a continue, and we need to turn back to this style in order to be able to achieve the Islam Union. We need to reach to ulama, and we need to take off those illnesses and diseases. But I think that how much the submission is very important, and this was something started with the MEVs and was continued still recently. But if we go like that, we'll be sharing those mistakes. And another trap is the will trap, the intent trap, is acting with the emotion that Allah will help you when whatever you are doing. And it is like a disease for the Muslim people. What is it is called like a Veir disease. And they are saying that the Muslims will be allowed, but they will be like the wastes around the river. And they are asking, how can we understand this sickness? You can understand it from two things. First of all, the world talks are increased, secularism. You can see a lot of secular wardrobe Muslims around. The world mind concept is a world sickness. And the Muslims start to fear of that. And they considering the world more important than the afterlife. So what is our conclusion in here? First of all, we need to listen to our heart. We need to listen to this pure power and belief in our heart, and the material powers, etc., should come secondly. And if we go straight, if we preserve our belief and our will, we'll be at the top of the mountain, and we'll see that our claim will be at the base of the mountain. We can see this a lot around families. We can see how families are divorcing, and we can see the ego fights. This is my money, this is your money, this is my family, this is your family. This is what we are trying to teach the people at the couples therapy. Family is like a ship, and for the God of the family, what should be my answer? The good and the interest of the family is most important than my own interest. So this is the interest of the Quran case. And it is more important than my own interest, my own benefit. Without having this transformation, we'll just be late and we won't achieve anything. And I can see this trap a lot. I can see these conspiracy theories. I can see the COVID pandemic about the vaccinated and unvaccinated people. There are a lot of conspiracies. And despite there are medical proofs and evidences, people don't want to get vaccinated. Those are very wrong approaches. And if you are going to ask people, what is the Islamic proof in here? What about the Ramadan, the starting of the Ramadan, and seeing the crescent, the new moon on the sky? What is the story behind this? It is said that instead of 1,000 people saying that they don't see it. I'm so sorry, Professor Nevzat. Okay, I'm going to finish my talk. In those situations, we need to take actions, and we need to merge the heart and the mind. And we need to merge our emotions and our mind, and we need to be aware of those mind traps. And I think that this solution is not me, but us. This is how we can put forward the ship of Islam. And the methodology that we are using is very important. It shouldn't be a method of hostility and pressure. It can't be done by force. Maybe this was something like that could be applied like 100 years ago, but it is wrong to continue under the power of a single person, individual. We need laws and rules. And thirdly, we shouldn't enforce our opinion on others, because it leads to discussion, to fight, to lack of unity, lack of trust. And we need to consult. And in many prayers, we need to make the traditions live. We need to consult each other. And we don't need meetings in which people are just praying on each other. Those are against our beliefs. It's a total Mesopotamian culture, threatening persons, applying pressure on the individual is a Mesopotamian culture, and we need to transform this culture. And if we can do that, we'll achieve greater things. It's the same like the Ottoman Foundation, because in Anatolia we had the mind transformation back in 1200, and in 1300 you see how fruitful was the Ottoman Empire. We need to connect to treat our minds and our hearts. And don't worry, Allah will help us. Thank you very much for listening to me with patience. Thank you, dear professor. And I think you touch about something very important. You are talking about being together, being us, and we'll have the power of 4,444.